What is up, guys? It is me, girl Shant'e. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, then welcome to the channel. If you are new, scratch that. Welcome back, y'all. I'm just trying to figure out why these niggas be trying me. I'm just trying to figure out. So by the title, you guys can see. Now this not even demon. This is the crazy thing. This not even demon. Cause y'all know I stopped dealing with demon after he had a baby. But this is about the time when he was still staying with his baby mama and thought I was dumb, like I couldn't find this out. Let's just get it. So I ended up meeting this guy. Okay, let's do the backstory. What am I gonna call him? I'm gonna call him Frappuccino, because that's how we met. Okay, boom. So I met Frappuccino. I was working at Starbucks at this time, and he did this little romantic thing. I ain't gonna lie, it was kind of cute. So I was working at Starbucks and I was at work and I was about to get off, and he came in because he has his own business. He came in and he was like doing hiring process or whatever for where he worked at. I ain't gonna give no, you know, cause yeah. So he came up to the register to order a Frappuccino and a chocolate chip cookie. Why do I remember this? Because I don't know. So he ordered it or whatever, but he was just like, hold it right here really quick while I go do whatever. So I'm telling my coworker, I'm like, well, you hold it because I'm finna clock out, because I'm finna go home. So I end up leaving or whatever. My coworker, probably like, I want to say 15 minutes later, called me. He was like, hey, this guy wants your number. So I'm like, what guy? So he was like, the guy that you made the Frappuccino and the cookie for. So I'm like, what guy? So he getting frustrated with me because I don't even remember, baby. I was ready to dip. So this ignorant fool ended up giving him my number anyway. So by the time I got home, Frappuccino ended up calling my phone, FaceTime me. So I'm like, you know me. First of all, one thing about it, two things for sure. I'm gonna cover that camera before because you ain't finna see me and I don't know who you is. So I covered it and I looked and I realized, I was like, ain't you just was at the store? He was like, yeah, I asked for your number. I said, well, I really didn't tell him to give you my number, but okay. Anyway, and we ended up talking for like 2.5 seconds. So I'm like, what's up? So he was like, I'm not a kidnapper or nothing, but I just want to know if you want to go to the beach. So I'm very skeptical, because I'm like, out of all places, you asked to the beach. We couldn't go to the park. We couldn't sit in the car. We couldn't parking lot pimp. We had to go to the beach. That's a long walk home if you piss me off. But I ended up going anyway. I sent my location to all my friends and my mama before I left. And I told her where I was going and all of that good stuff. So we ended up going to the beach. We just ended up talking, like the conversation and everything. Besides this lion, he's a really cool guy. Like besides the lion part, he was really cool. So we just was chilling. So the first red flag, that was the main red flag, is after we had came back from the beach or whatever, I texted him good night, but it was no respond back. So I'm like, okay, I'm not finna tweak out because I just met you. It is what it is. So of course the next morning we get to texting or whatever, conversing, chopping it up. So boom, the next weekend he was just like, okay, let's just go somewhere. So we ended up going to Waffle House. I don't know how we got on the topic of the zoo, but he was just like, let's go. So I'm like, let's go where? So he was like, to the zoo. I said, to Jacksonville? So he was like, yeah, let's go to Jacksonville Zoo. So you know me, I'm like, okay, first date to the zoo, what's up? So we ended up going to the zoo, and everything just started unraveling in. So as we're at the zoo, he kept getting phone calls, but he wouldn't answer them. So I'm not thinking nothing of it. I'm thinking it's his business, because he did have 2 phones. You know, niggas with 2 phones, that's a red flag. But me not thinking it, you got a business phone and a personal phone, but you know, I'm minding my business. So he was never answering the phone. So when we got to the zoo, we ended up staying at this hotel. Of course we got separate rooms, because yeah, your girl wasn't playing that. So we stayed in 2 separate rooms or whatever. So of course I don't know what's going on in your room, because I'm in my room. So I don't know who he was talking to. You know what I'm saying? So on the way home, phone kept ringing, but we didn't go straight home. Once we got back from Jacksonville, we ended up going to Hilton Head Beach. Like I'm not gonna lie, it was a smooth little trip. Like for a first date, yeah. So the whole time we was in Hilton Head, phone kept ringing. So he ended up walking off, and I'm like, you know me, I'm so childish. I'm like, you want to get that? Being so petty, like, you want to get that? He like, oh no, it's work. So I'm like, okay. So we in the car, phone ringing. So I just went ahead and got rid of the elephant out the room. So I'm like, why your phone keep ringing? You not answering it? So he was just like, because we're on a date, like that's business. I don't want to answer the phone. So I'm like, okay, cool. Just keeping it, you know what I'm saying? So on the first day, I gotta backtrack. On the first day, he did tell me, you know, he had a baby and he had a child's mother, because I don't call them baby mamas because I'm not a baby mama. So he had a child's mother. So I'm like, okay, cool. Now around this time, of course, I didn't have Junior, I didn't have a child. I really wasn't into like dating guys with babies, and that's not like at this time, that just wasn't my thing. So I just knew it came with a lot, and I was young, so I wasn't trying to put myself in that type of predicament. So he told me that, but I'm not thinking. So now that had played in my head, I wanted to ask the questions about the child's mother. So I was like, okay, well, do your child's mother, you know, do she date anybody? So he like, no. So I'm like, are y'all cool? Like, is y'all relationship? Because I don't want to be around. I'm not trying to be in no drama with nobody mama. You see what I'm saying? So he like, oh no, we good. Like, we straight, da da da. So I'm like, I'm not trying to get all in your business, but what she said, he answered the questions, but when I got to this one, he had got a little hesitant. He had answered a little too slow. So he was like, she stayed, and he paused, and he looked, and I'm like, you ain't gotta tell me what she stayed at, ain't none of my business. But I should have let him finish it, because now I should have seen what you had to say. So we just stopped the whole conversation. So when we got back from Jacksonville, everything was cool, everything was smooth. So we were texting, you know. I didn't blow him up as much because he did have his own business. So of course, you know, a man with a business, he gonna handle business. So I'm not one of them, yeah. So the only thing that started getting me was he would always talk to me up until like 6 o'clock, and then after like 6, he'll disappear every day. So I just kept finding that real strange. So I started doing my research on him, because y'all know me, I want that. Baby, I got a PhD in lurology. I'm gonna go figure something out. So I goes and, you know, look up his name, go through the likes of the pictures, go through the comments, scroll to see who tagged him and what. He didn't have an Instagram, he just had a Facebook. But he didn't just have one Facebook, he had 2 Facebooks. And one Facebook was not his name that he told me his name was. So that was a #1 red flag. So I'm like, oh, hold on. So y'all know who I sent it to. Leave a comment who I sent it to. My best friend. Exactly. So I sent it to my best friend. I'm like, this ain't a little strange to you? So she was like, press pause. We got to do our research real quick. So we started searching and looking at stuff just to see what page was tagged. Long and behold, y'all, his child's mother went to school with me. We graduated. Me and her were actually cool. So when I figured that out, I was locked in. Like, I'm like, oh, now I'm finna Sherlock Holmes this thing, because now I got to figure out if they talk, what's going on. Woo. So I follow her on Instagram, but she don't post. She's not a social media type of person. So I see why they like each other, because he's not on social media neither. Like, they not on Instagram, they on Facebook, but they barely post. So it was nothing I could really get from her, because she don't be on Instagram, and she at the time didn't have a Facebook. So I'm like, okay, this is a little awkward. So y'all know, waited till he got off or whatever. So of course he didn't text me. So the next morning I was off and he was off. So I was like, let's meet up, let's chat. So he ended up coming to my second job, because around this time I had 2 jobs. So we just met up at my second job so we could just eat lunch. So he pulled up, and he pulled up with his daughter, and I was like, when I looked at his daughter, because I just lurked last night and seen that my classmate had a daughter, and that's the daughter. So I'm like, oh wow. So when she came, I was like, that's such and such, baby. And his mouth dropped, and he was like, how you know her? And I was like, we went to school together. Y'all, I think his whole soul left his chest. Like, his entire soul left his chest. So I'm just waiting to see if he gonna lie, or is he just gonna, you know, just unravel. But he was a little smooth little thing, because he just wanted to see what all I knew. So he was like, oh, okay, just playing it cool, like, oh, okay. In my head, I'm like, nigga, oh, okay, like, I should jump across this table, because you should have told me. So we just sitting there chatting it up. So I'm like, you know, I don't want to be around her, because me, I'm the type of person, and this is how I am with Junior, I don't introduce anybody to Junior. Like, that's a red flag. I don't just, yeah, I don't care. We didn't know each other for that long, so your daughter shouldn't even be around me, because Junior darn sure don't be around nobody I just met, period. So I was just like, I'm like, I don't really, you know what I'm saying, like, yeah, because I ain't got time for this girl to walk in, even though I know her for real. Like, I ain't trying to be funny, but I know her. She's not that type of person to do altercations. She'll be pissed off because she don't know, but she's not the type of person to really get into altercations neither. So we sitting there talking. So I'm like, okay, so when did y'all, you know, get together? Wooty wooty woo. So he telling me their whole story of how they got together, how it didn't work out, how things was just crazy. So I was like, okay, so what ended the relationship? So he was just like, well, she just thought that I was cheating on her and da-da-da-da. So in my head, I'm just rolling my eyes so hard because I'm like, you look like a cheater. You a light skin too. I don't know why. I don't even know why I gave you a chance. But I kept letting him talk. I didn't say nothing the whole time. I'm just in my head, just listening, just soaking it all in. Because right now I'm just flabbergasted. Like, I'm just flabbergasted. Because why I'm always in the middle? Why I'm always the man in the middle? So I was like, okay, you know, we went to school together. We were cool. Like, so he was like, cool, like how cool? And I'm just like, we were, you know, we were cordial. Like, we walked up to each other. We seen each other. We were sitting around the table. I said her best friend is, I'm gonna call her Remote. I'm gonna say her best friend name is Remote. Like, and me and Remote are really close. So he was like, oh yeah, that is her best friend. And I remember the last time like, I think when I said that, he just got real nervous. So I'm like, so where does she stay? Y'all, it was so funny because as soon as I said that, his phone rung, and it was just crazy. His phone ended up ringing as soon as I said that. He was like, I gotta get this. So he answered the phone and he had walked off or whatever. So I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I cannot wait to get back to this table because I need to know where this girl stay at now. Because for something in my head, it was just like, they stay together, they stay together, they stay together, they stay together. So he came back to the table and he was just like, now what you said? I said, where did she stay? And he looked me in my eyes and he was just like, you can't get mad. When a nigga say you can't get mad, nigga, I'm finna get mad. Like, I'm finna get, don't never tell me don't get mad. Because I'm finna get mad now. Because now I feel like you, go ahead, sir. So I'm just like, okay, lying, just lying. No, I'm finna be mad. No, my skin is, but if you touch me, I'm real hot. But go ahead. She stay with me. I didn't want to hear nothing else soon as he said she stayed with me. Every dot started connecting to every line as soon as he said that. Why you wasn't texting back at night, all of this stuff. So I just went in. I'm just like, oh, so that's why you wasn't texting back at night. So I just started going off in them people vicinity. I'm like, so that's why you don't text back at night. That's why you be disappearing. That's why like he like, Shant'e, calm down. I'm like, no, I'm finna calm up because now you done pissed me off. Like, why would you sit here and be talking to somebody you stay with your child's mother? That's different. That's weird. That's off limits. Like that. How do you even have spare time to stay with the mother of your child, work, and have somebody on the side? I wasn't a side piece, but at this point, we're just gonna call it what it was at this point. So I'm like, bro, why would you not tell me that from the jump? That's the only thing that kills me with guys. Like, give people the opportunity to want to say, yes, I want to continue, or no, I want to cut this off. Like, you didn't even give me the option to do either or. So I'm like, what? So he was like, she stay with me, we don't sleep in the same room. Nigga, I done heard that before. I ain't even dealt with no nigga like this, but I done heard this in other people's stories. She stay with me because she messed up and we sleep in separate beds and we not together. I don't give a darn who do what, where, who sleep. None of that matters. You should have told me from jump. So I'm going off. So he's like, Shant'e, we can talk about this another time. I'm like, we're not talking no more. After you walk out this door, that's dead, that's done. That's it. So he ended up walking out. He ended up calling me, y'all. I didn't block the boy. I'm at the job, just eating my food, just pissed off. So the next day go, and I let him explain himself via text message because you weren't finna meet up with me again. So he was just like, I didn't want to tell you because I knew you was gonna go off. I did this with other people. Other people? That's why that girl think you a cheater, because you over here playing house in the home. Like, why not in this situation, or why not be honest with people from jump? You know what I'm saying? Like, all that line, it's not given. So y'all, this is where it gets funny. I just hate when people insult my intelligence, and this is after I blocked him after this because I was just pissed off because you tried me. So he on the phone with me or whatever, and I'm sitting down, I'm just, you know what I'm saying? So you know my ears, they don't play tricks on me. My ears hear what they hear when they hear what they heard. So he in the house and he was like, I don't be disappearing, like she be in the house with me when I be on the phone. I said, you've never been on the phone with me before while you've been home. Like, every time you leave 5, 6 o'clock, that's it, I don't hear from you no more. So y'all, this boy goes in the background and he was like, did you hear the baby crying? The baby crying, da 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 da. I'm on the phone, da da. You know, pretending she's there so it can make it seem as if she's there and she's not there. Mind you, when somebody's in the background, you're talking to somebody, you can hear that other person responding. Like, so who you talking to? Casper? Because I'm trying to figure out Casper and friends, because who you talking to? So I just busted out. I literally busted out. I was like, so he was like, what's funny? So I was like, it's a simple fact that you just insulted my intelligence. So he was like, what are you talking about? I said, you really think that your baby mom is in the house right now? So he was like, I said, you really want me to think that your baby mom in the house right now? You talking to her all of a sudden now? So he's like, Shant'e, what are you talking? I said, okay, if she in the house, FaceTime me. I don't have to prove. Click, hung up. At that point, it's nothing else we need to talk about. Why would you even sit there and pretend? It's so crazy how everything always come back to me, and I was so glad I ended up lurking, because had I not lurked, I wouldn't have known none of this stuff was going on. Like, I wouldn't be able to put two and two together. I wouldn't have known the baby. I would be telling niggas, stop trying me, because one thing about God, he gonna always give me the information I need to connect these dots, baby, period. I just, yeah, the math wasn't mathing, baby. I don't know who he thought he was finna add to the situation, but I subtracted myself quickly, because don't play with me. But that was a time that I just don't understand. That wasn't even the only story time where somebody did not tell me that they had a baby on the way. And I don't know if y'all want to hear that second story, because I don't understand why lie? Like, be honest about the situation. So one thing about it, a word of advice, always do your research. Don't wait to do it. Send them in a group chat, screenshot, ask everybody if they talk to them, put out a PBV, put out an Amber Alert, do what you got to do to make sure you ain't talking to no fools, because these niggas be niggering around here, okay? But if you guys enjoyed that painful story time, make sure you comment down below. Make sure you turn your post notifications on so your phone can beep, buzz, vibrate, and do whatever it does when your girl posts another video. And I love you guys.